I'm John Purcell, and I'm delighted to have been asked to, I don't know what you'd describe it as, moderate, MC, host this morning event for Carlow Chamber of Commerce. And thank you very much. I suppose normally back in the pre-COVID days, when someone like me would stand up on a stage and start on something like this, I'd be talking about the fire exits and I'd be talking about coffee breaks and so on. But I suppose, seeing as it is a Zoom meeting, I'll ask that people keep their mics off. If you want to make comments, you can do so through the comments, the chat section. And if you want to interrupt, I think you can raise hands and so on. Brian O'Farrell of Carlow Chamber will be working the thing between the scenes. So if there are any particular issues, maybe if you wanted to message Brian directly, but otherwise, as Paul Byrne has done, you know, you can just message to the group. I hope your coffee is nice, Paul. So, I mean, I think this is a very timely event. And just to tell you a bit about myself, I'm the Chief Executive of KCLR, and I started the business back in 2002, and we went on air in 2004. And I thought I had many ups and downs, the Great Recession of 2008, 9 or 10, which we'd been recovering from for apparently so long. But nothing could have prepared me, I suppose, in my business, or many of you guys, for in your businesses, for the time that has landed on us with COVID-19. And I suppose at this particular time, and I know Colin Duggan, the president of Carlow Chamber, will talk to us some more, but we need to think in particular, I think this morning, of the people who are particularly hard hit by going into phase 3 of lockdown. I think there was a feeling among the general public of some relief that we didn't go into level 5, but no less, level 3 of lockdown for Kilkenny, Carlow, all the counties in this area is particularly difficult. And perhaps there are up to 1,000 people staring layoff, job losses in the face at the moment. And I think our thoughts with them are with them. When our minds go back, I suppose, when I think back to the start of when all this kicked off in March, the kind of Samuel Beckett quote came to mind: "You must go on. I can't go on. I will go on." And I think that's been the case for so many businesses. And you know, many businesses have stared oblivion in the face, and unfortunately, many businesses have gone under in this time. But equally, as well as being the chief executive of KCLR, I'm lucky to have an opportunity to present a weekly business program, which, shameless plug, is on each Saturday at 9 a.m. But apart from that, in doing that, I get to meet so many inspiring businesses who are adapting, innovating, changing, and keeping going in the face of absolutely terrible challenges. And later on, we'll talk. I'll be chatting to Philip Mcdonald of Detailed Menswear, and I was chatting to him yesterday. And you know, the punch in the guts for us all that we all experienced in March has been traumatic. But people have changed, and so on. And I suppose that's what this is about, and hopefully the theme of this morning will give some opportunity for people to see how change is possible. Our business, a radio station, we've had to change too, and we're doing things now that we weren't doing 6 months ago. We're doing a video for Kilkenny County Council on thatching, for example. We're doing a series of podcasts for the Irish Heart Foundation on looking after your heart. We're providing production services to radio stations around the country. All of these have been brought on by the necessity to innovate and to adapt. And I suppose we're here this morning to talk about retail. And before the pandemic, retail was already seen, traditional retail was already seen as being under pressure and was under pressure. And then, you know, surely with the advent of something like the pandemic and its lockdown, would be seen by many as surely this has been the final nail in the coffin of retail. But people are adapting and they're changing, and today is an opportunity to hear from people about adapting and changing, whether it's John Wall from Me to You gift card, which is working with the Love Carlow gift card, whether it's Philip, who I've mentioned already, or Evelyn Moynihan. But I suppose never before has it been more important for people in business, excuse me, to work together and act together. And in my opinion, organisations like the Chamber have never been more important. And Colin will speak to us shortly. But equally, work of organisations of the local enterprise office has never been more vital. And I've been delighted both through my role as Chief Executive in KCLR and where we're working with the local enterprise office on the Taste in Carlow initiative, or the Shop Carlow initiative, to just raise awareness of all the great stuff that we've got on our doorstep. But equally through meeting the many businesses that I meet through my work doing a business program, I've really seen firsthand what can be gained from businesses engaging with the local enterprise offices. And we'll hear from Kieran later on about all that great work. But first, I suppose, before we welcome our first speaker, I'd like to call on Colin Duggan, who's the president of the Chamber, just to say a few words to you. Colin.
Good morning. Thanks, John. I suppose we're all in a strange place now at the moment, as we find ourselves now in level 3. And the world we live in has changed so much in 6 months. We've been working hard to effect some sort of normality in our businesses. The challenges we face now are many, and we all have the same issues. The advantage we all have now at this point is we're facing the same foe. And I believe knowledge and a shared experience that we have developed over the last couple of months will find us a way through this maze that we find ourselves in. Knowledge gives us confidence that we're steering our business in the right direction. And we've got this advantage of working together, I think, and finding a shared knowledge to bring us all together. Notwithstanding that, we now find ourselves in level 3 restriction. It's important that it's important for our customers and our team members that we stay positive and lead a way forward for that team. The level 3 restrictions are unfair for Carlow. Carlow's done very well to level the curve. Last week we had 7 people, but in general we've done quite well. But unfortunately, we now find ourselves kind of punished, put in and placed in level 3. Government must introduce additional supports to make sure that we can sustain the seismic shock to our businesses. We feel to continue to be the voice, we have to find some way to find a just way to have these restrictions developed in a better way, that counties like Carlow can actually have a more fair opportunity to develop our business, especially as we find coming out of the lockdown, we were only getting into some sort of rhythm and getting our businesses going again. For here in the hotel or in the hospitality, we're now in a shutdown situation. Thousands of people are now unemployed. We would try and keep as many employed, but we're probably one of the lucky ones that can actually do that. A lot of takeaways, coffee shops, bars which have just reopened, they probably will not be able to sustain that. We must stand together as a community, together to find a collaborative way to find our way through this mire. Today, the seminar will remind us that we're all in this together, and together we will find a way. I would like to thank John Purcell, our host today, for KCLR's continued support for Carlow businesses. KCLR are a fantastic champion for the marketing and promotion of Carlow businesses. And Carlow LEO and KCLR have just launched a sales and marketing business toolkit series called Business Box. I'm sure John might mention it later. But the Business Box is a series of PR and marketing support programs designed for County Carlow businesses. The seminar will be there to support and promote marketing for businesses to get through the 2020 and on to 2021, when we start to come out of this COVID crisis. I urge all of our business community to get involved in this kind of promotion, because it really will help us find our way out. Our seminar contributors today, Champion Green, Me to You, Carlow County Council and the LEO, and Philip Mcdonald are all great examples of how we can work together for a common good. The LEO, for example, has a whole suite of training, mentoring, and funding models to help us through this time. They've got so many ways to support our businesses coming out of the COVID time, and then helping us to plan a way forward as well. And it's really important that we actually are focused on the future now, and to have a positive view of our businesses. I would like to urge everyone to contact their LEO and make sure that they can help them to find the supports to direct them in the right direction for their companies. Champion Green is a national movement with a grand coalition of government, industry and business. Their goal is to support each other, drive the recovery of communities and the economy through the COVID-19 crisis. Without a stable and thriving economy, we don't have energetic communities. Currently, many lost their jobs, businesses are suffering. Rather than focus on challenges, Champion Green gives us a tangible way to lift each other's businesses out of this crisis. We now, more than any other time, need to buy Irish, buy local, and to make sure that Irish jobs are sustainable. It is not a new idea. We've had guaranteed Irish before, but now more than any other time, we now see the vulnerability of being on an island, and we need to now to support Irish product and Irish businesses. Our goal as a chamber is to facilitate connections and to be the voice of business of the community in Carlow. It's an ever-evolving, proactive journey, and I'm sure Brian can is testament to that, where every day is different for him, and he's trying to make sure that Carlow business is number one, and we're to the forefront in the southeast. We provide a range of services to promote Carlow County and ensure the long-term business development and growth of Carlow County. The Chamber supports our members through a variety of initiatives, including networking, lobbying, and member representation on development boards. Our aim is to enhance economic development of these areas and encourage growth within the business environs of Carlow. Carlow Chamber is striving to facilitate the future growth of Carlow through collaboration, connectivity, and with business support agencies and local authorities. During the lockdown period, we completed 25 webinars, which were presented in the main by our own members, giving sage advice on how to get through this new reality. The webinars were featured key knowledge and tools that businesses needed for these uncertain times. They gave clarity in subjects such as the temporary wage subsidy, which in its lifetime has had about 1,400 different changes. So you can see the complexity of something as simple as that needed single seminars just to support that. In HR, we were given clear advice on how we needed to manage our teams while on furlough, and then how to bring them back safely through the safety protocols. Sorry. Carlow Chamber, in conjunction with Carlow County Council and LEO, recently won the Chamber Ireland Award for Best Collaboration. And collaboration is so important in our way forward now. But the award was for our Trade Connections program. This successful program welcomed ambassadors from the Netherlands, UAE, Mexico, and Germany. These events were fantastic opportunities for Carlow businesses to use as networking opportunities and find new customers and international sales opportunities. The Chamber members receive influential voice on large-scale issues. Carlow Chamber does more than serve as a marketing vehicle for local business. It has an important role in local government and affairs as well. They serve as a voice for local business owners and industry and development boards. Now we need our voice to be heard and make sure Carlow is a sustainable business community. Our CEO, Brian, works tirelessly to promote business in Carlow and keep us all abreast of a rapidly changing landscape. In the next month, we will launch a digital health check for all our members. Now more than any other time, we must make sure that we have well presented, easy to read, and a mapped footprint for our business, a digital footprint for our business. We also need to know that we are on message with our website and social media and make sure that it's all consistent. I personally really value the Secret Shopper experience, and this service will dig even deeper into our digital experience and develop our business further, especially as we come out of this COVID time. Brian will send information over the next couple of weeks on how to join the digital experience we're offering. I hope you get as much as you can out of the seminar today, and please ask questions as we go along from all our participants. I would like to thank all our contributors today, and I really appreciate the time you've taken today out of your hectic day to make sure that you can be involved in this presentation today. So thank you again.
Thanks very much, Colin. That was Colin Duggan, who's the president of the Chamber. So we're going to get things underway there, but just before, I was just sitting there reflecting while Colin was talking, and I was just thinking most of the Zoom calls that I'm on are very action-oriented over different things that need to be done. And it just struck me listening to Colin about all the stuff that the Chamber has been doing and businesses have been doing over the months and the webinars and so on, is that it's good to have time to just reflect and look back over the last couple of months as well, and to pat ourselves on the back, I suppose, that we're all still here and that we've been through challenges, very difficult challenges. Sure, as Colin said at the outset, there's a feeling of unfairness that we're going into level 3, and there's a feeling that we've been penalised, but we'll get through it, and we'll get beyond this and see better times ahead. But one of the things that's been key throughout this to the development of to people staying in business and so on has been adaptation and the use of technology, and the use of technology in new ways. And I suppose our next speaker has huge experience of that, with over 20 years using technology and financial technology in retail transactions and payments processing and so on. And just yesterday I was hearing about the huge growth in contactless payments, and you know, how cash is really, the use of cash is reducing very much. And I suppose anyone with kids like myself, I find that a lot, because invariably I never have the €1 for the school collection or the €2. So I'm sure that's a gap in the market that needs to be looked at, but that's not what we're here today to talk about. John Wall, who's the managing director of Me2You, is going to talk to us about his company and how they've been working with business. John worked for over 10 years with Payzone, who were hugely at the forefront of developing retail solutions and brought solutions for people to carry out retail that would have been unimaginable a relatively short time ago. So John is going to talk to us a bit about himself, but also more specifically about the Me2You gift card, which was launched into the Irish market recently, and which has got a very good footprint through the Love Carlow gift card with Carlow Chamber. So I suppose without further ado, I'd like to welcome John Wall from the Me2You gift cards and the Love Carlow gift card. John, over to you.
Good morning everybody. Thanks John for the introduction. Appreciate it. It's a sunny morning. I'm actually in Dublin here. First of all, I'd like to thank Brian, who's been very supportive in getting the Love Carlow card up and running over the last 2 years. I would say it was kind of a soft launch since we have launched, and I think there's a real opportunity now to make the Love Carlow card a very much part of the daily spend in Carlow. And I'll go through the reasons why now, but I do have a little presentation where I'm just going to give you an overview of Me2You gift card. gift card market overall nationally, the benefits of having a Love Carlow card and what it does for the community, how it works, the small benefit exemption and the tax implications for that for everybody and how it can save money, and how to sign up to the gift card, the Love Carlow gift card, and then most importantly, how to buy a card. So I'm going to share the presentation here. If I can, 1 second now. Sorry there, guys.
This is the bit that replaced the bit at the real world events where you were trying to plug in the thing, but John has sussed it, and here we are. Get a good quick look at his emails.
So there we are. Sorry, I'll just scroll back up. Bit of a slow start there, guys. So
we can see your emails, John.
What's that?
We can see your email.
Okay.
Most interesting bit so far, I must say.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Can you see that now?
No. You know, do you want me to pull it in from this side?
Yeah, sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening there.
Can you take, yeah. So there you are, yeah.
Is that it there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know.
No problem.
So the first slide then is the introduction to Me Too gift card. So we launched in late 2015. Me Too gift card was launched as an initiative by the Retail Excellence members. So all the heads of the major retail shops would get together, and one of the big issues is the commission they're actually paying for accepting multi-store gift cards. Also things like upper lonely rents and things that they take initiatives on that. So as a result of that, that's how actually Me Too gift card was brought into the market. And our main aim is to bring more competition into market and choice to consumers. So our card, you can use it in day-to-day spend, likes of Apple Green and Tesco. So you can buy day-to-day products as well as, you know, treating yourself to nice things in higher branded shops. A big thing is the small benefit exemption. So at the time it was €250, and we lobbied to get that increased to €500. We are now lobbying government to increase that further of up to €2,000 for this year. Another thing about the small benefit exemption is you can now give your employees multiple gifts throughout the year of up to €500. So we've lobbied government to get the €250 to €500, which has had a huge impact on the market, and it's in turn brought more spend into retail shops. And we've also now lobbying government to try to get that increased even for this year and next year. It's a great way of encouraging companies to give that extra bit of profit onto staff and recognizing them for the work they're doing. So we're doing a number of initiatives to encourage that, especially staff that are working on the front line have had to work above and beyond their normal work day. A number of retailers are actually shareholders in the gift card company, so it's very retailer led, as in they're motivated to ensure that the spend is going into retailers, and we are representing the retailers. And one of our key objectives is to work with local communities to try to drive local spend. The next slide then is so the benefits and the reasons why the community should push and drive and engage with a local Carlow gift card. One is to obviously protect and create new jobs by keeping spend within the local community. So a lot of economists will give a lot of different views, but they'll all come up with a similar type of theory that every euro spent in a local community creates an awful lot more jobs and encourages local spend. So a Love Carlow card drives that. It also encourages local investment. Local companies can incentivize and reward staff of up to €500, which we spoke about earlier. And it's an effective way of driving new customers into your store. People tend to spend differently when they have a gift card. So there's a higher chance if you're a new retailer or you're trying to attract new customers into your store. If they have a gift card, they might go off their normal spend patterns. Also, we see an increased awareness, and this is the most important thing I see, increased awareness to shop locally and encourage communities to support local businesses. So even the message of having the Love Carlow gift card out there sends a clear message out to the Carlow people and reminds them that, you should spend locally. Not that you can go further outside Carlow anyway at the moment, but it's encouraging, drive that message, shop in Carlow, support Carlow businesses, and you're helping the local people. If you use a gift card, it's been proven that it'll increase revenue. So if someone comes in a gift card, they'll spend up to 55% more, and even more in some cases with a gift card. So for retailers, it actually increases the average transaction value in the shop. And also it'll increase footfall because the average person tends to split their gift card 2.5 times if they get a gift card. With the higher value gift card, it is even more than that. If we go on to the next slide, Brian, we'll just go through the gift card market in Ireland. So Irish people actually love gift cards. I'd attend gift card conferences in the UK and that, and where various gift card owners would meet, and on average the gift card spend in Ireland would be way above any of our European colleagues. Irish people love gift cards, and any of the big high retailers will tell you their gift card sales in Ireland are way higher than anyone else. So just if you go back, so the overall gift card market is we reckon around 700 million. And it's broken down by kind of closed loop, where you have the vertical retail cards, and then you have the open loop cards, such as shopping center cards, ourselves, Me Too, One for All, and there's a few other various small schemes. People are reluctant in times like this. Sometimes consumers are reluctant to buy a high street, retail vertical card because they're concerned if there's any issues with the premises, that the business might get into trouble, which is not a really good thing. But and as a result, sometimes the gift card market can be impacted by that when recessions or events happen like the pandemic. But with our card, it is an escrow account. So there's, we try to encourage people not to be put off from buying a vertical card by buying our Me Too gift card, the Love Carlow gift card. Okay. The next slide is just, they're the brands that currently are accepted by the Me Too gift card nationwide. So we have various brands from fuel to grocery to to cinema. There's a wide variety. Smith's Toys. So there's plenty of choices to use your card in Muddies. And if you go to the next slide there, Brian, it'll show you in Carlow, these are the key brands that we've signed up to accept the card. So what we want to do is to increase these retailers and get more restaurants and hotels on board. So that was the card for last year. So we're hoping this year to get an awful lot more hotels and restaurants to create a more, not just retail, that's an experience card to encourage activity within the county. So anybody who's a retailer or knows retailers, would appreciate if you can reach out to them because we're recruiting as much as we can at the moment. So the ideal thing is to get more retailers on board. For a full and complete list, you can also go to the Love Carlow, www.lovecarlow.ie, isn't it, Brian? And you can also go on to www.meetyou.ie. If you go to the next slide, Brian, we'll see. So what we want to do is we have these up in the store windows that accept our card, and what we want to do is welcome the retailers or welcome the customers in. It's not just accepting the Love Carlow card, it's welcoming the card. And we need retailers and premises to get behind a Love Carlow card, to get the image out there, to get the message out there, so people will think about the card when it's the time to gift. The next slide then is just how the card works. So it's quite simple. It goes through the credit card terminal in the stores. So someone comes in, it's a MasterCard, you swipe it through the terminal, the funds will go into the account the next day, and then at the end of the month we send a report with the transactions that the Love Carlow card did. So it's very simple to actually sign up to the card, and that would have been a challenge in the past. You know, other chambers have a paper voucher schemes, and they are so hard to administrate and logistically very challenging. This is very simple solution. All we need is you to give us your merchant ID number and sign up to the agreement to accept the card. And we have a very special rate of 5.5%, where other cards be up to 10 to 12%. The next slide then just shows you one of the nice features about the card is that it's very simple to check your balance. It's only a 9-digit number on the back of the card. So you go to www.meetyou.ie and you can actually check your balance, and it shows your transaction history. And that is a key feature of the card, where other cards you have to put in 19 digits in order to get a balance, which is very difficult and it takes time. We also have a new scanner on our website, so you can actually scan the back of the card, and that's even quicker again. Next, Brian. So our card is a MasterCard. Our issuing bank, we're moving to Rails Bank. All the funds are held in an escrow account, so we can't touch them. So we have to have funds on, so if someone's buying cards, for example, we have to have the funds there before we activate the cards. So they're in a secure escrow account, and the Financial Conduct Authority, the central bank, European Central Bank, looks after that and manages that, ensure that everything is regulated and kept on board. So that is a good feature, I guess, in these times where people have concerns about funds, and they might be concerned about buying cars and vertical retail at the moment as well. The next slide is then, so this is a very important point to make. So there's very few ways anybody can actually get away without paying tax, and this is one way that employers can incentivize staff of up to €500 tax free. So if I was to give you as an employer €500, the total cost of that, if you're on the higher tax bracket, is €1,153. If you break it down between paying USC, PRSI, employer's tax, it all adds up. So everybody should be using this. You know, all employers should be, if they can use it, to recognize and reward staff. There's a few things regarding the small benefit exemption rule. One is that you can only give one card in the year. So if I gave you €50 at the start of the year, that's your small benefit exemption gone. So you need to maximize it. For this year though, the revenue have changed that rule that you can give any amount of gift cards for employees that are working through COVID. So you can get multiple cards up to €500. We're pushing for that. We're lobbying government to continue that next year, so employers can incentivize staff throughout the year rather than giving them one €500, which does encourage employers to give even smaller incentives throughout the year. And then if you're on the lower bracket, it's slightly less savings, but it is still a savings. So what we find is even solicitors firms might have 20 employees, and they can order up to €10,000 worth of gift cards, which can be brought back into the community and spent locally, which creates and supports jobs. So you know, you can never take any business for granted on how much they might buy in gift cards, vouchers. The other channel is the likes of, you know, people for birthdays, gifts, weddings, and you can buy cards in the likes of Hickson's or Applegreen for people that it's their birthday or any occasion. And we'd encourage that as well. But we think from an easy win perspective for the community, to try to encourage companies and businesses to give their staff a €500 gift voucher. You know, it's very hard to get the kind of sales you'd get through the other channels like weddings, birthdays, and gifts. And we really think, you know, we need to try to get businesses to do that. Okay. The next slide is just so before I actually get into this is I guess if you want to sign up to Meet You, if you're a retailer, you can either contact Brian or you can contact ourselves directly. It's a very simple sign-up process where we just need your merchant ID number, your logo, and you sign up to the agreement, and we have a preferential rate on that. To buy the card then, as I said earlier, you can go to any of the pay zone locations in the county. At the moment, the Applegreen stores and Centra, Hickson's, and there's a Spar as well. We'll be updating that list as well on the www.carlow website, the Love Carlow website. You can also purchase online. So if you purchase online and Meet You, you can actually just click onto Love Carlow, and if you see the screen, that's the way it'll look, and you can purchase any amount of cards or values. Or you can also contact the chamber office. We also have a system where I'll send a link and include on that presentation for you, Brian, which I should have, is that we can leave cards with Brian in the chamber office, and they're blank cards, and any employer can actually pick them up and go on to an order portal that's unique, and you can order cards. You can simply go in and put in the 9-digit number in the card and any value you want on it. So you can have them in your desk, for example, and be able to top them up as you require them by going into our order portal. So I'll give you a link for that as well. So what I would say to sum it up is that, you know, we've had a kind of a soft launch with the Love Carlow card, and it's times like this that's the perfect opportunity for everybody to you know, really consider the Love Carlow card. It needs kind of a big budget to actually get the message out to the community, and that's been our challenge, I guess, so far, is to get that message out. And I think, you know, with the times we're in at the moment, I think people might consider the Love Carlow gift card, and businesses might as well, more so now than ever before. And we'll be working with Brian to get those other retailers and restaurants on board. Ideally, we want to get you know, everybody everywhere you'd want to go to within the county on board to accept the card. So that's it. I think I covered everything. I guess if you have any questions, I'm not sure, John, how that works, but
yeah, if anyone would like to ask any questions or if they have any comments, there is a question in from Chloe Murray, John, and maybe you can answer that. Is, can the Love Carlow gift card be used online or in other counties? We have some staff that live and work outside Carlow. It's a good question.
Yeah, so what we do is the Love Carlow card can be spent in all the locations on the card. It can be spent wherever the retailers do accept it online. We can. So I would say the majority of spend is actually in retail stores, and that's what we encourage. But those that do sign up to accept it online, we do accept it online also. So there is a few stores I know that are in Carlow that are online, but predominantly it's in retail. And that is a challenge for us, is trying to get that balance where you know, people do want to buy online, but we want them to buy from Carlow in line. So I would say the majority is in retail at the moment.
Okay, so if I'm understanding it correctly, you showed a slide with a range of retailers who accept it nationally, so those can be redeemed in any of their stores nationally, presumably, yeah. And then also specifically Carlow for the Carlow ones.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay. One of the things I found very interesting was 55% more than the value of is spent on you know, so if you have a €100 gift card, the customer would typically spend 155 in the same store.
Yeah, or it's actually, that's where, so it's more, it would be a 55% increase on the average transaction value. So if you spend typically €100 in menswear, you'd spend €155 with a gift card. So that should be worded slightly different there, but that's what that means. So people with a gift card will spend an awful lot more with a gift card, you know, that's been proven across the board. And we obviously talk to a lot of our retailers, and everybody from Tesco to Pennies, right across the board, their average transaction with a gift card would be about 55% more. So that's where the slightly should have made it a little bit more clear.
Philip McDonald has set you up for an open goal of a plug, really, where he's made a comment that the percentage difference, presumably on the commission of 5.5 with yourselves versus 10 or 12%, is a huge addition, because that effectively goes straight to the bottom line.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's, you know, we're very competitive, and our rates are, you know, in some instances more than 50% less than the competition. And that's the, you know, the retailers have set up Meet You gift card with that in mind, that we are offering competition to the market. On the back end,
there is a feeling that there's a bit of a social investment there as well, because not only is it just flogging the material, but it's also to sustain retailing it. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, it would be. It would be. Absolutely. Now the challenge is we don't have huge marketing spend, so we depend on a situation like here, is that we need everybody to get behind it to support it, you know, because we don't have that extra percent to spend a lot of money in marketing. So it's a balance, you know,
okay.
with that.
Anyone else like to ask any questions or make any comments? I'll look around my desktop. No, I don't think so. John, have you anything that you'd like to say? How do people, if people are interested, I was interested about the point you made about having blank cards where people can take a stock of them and then effectively set themselves up online. If people want to get going out of it, how do they do it? What are the first simple steps?
Yeah, there's a few things, and actually just while I'm on that, like we will be going digital as well, probably next year. There's a lot of challenge with going digital where you're putting the card into the phone, because there can be glitches with software and that. So when we're ready, we will do that. But actually, it is just as cheap for us to send postcards at the moment out to customers, which is quite bizarre, because Apple look for such a high percentage of the transaction fee. But regarding the instant activation cards, so what we can do is we can post a bunch of cards to any corporates, or Brian has them, or we can also have other shops that could have them in the town. And what you can do is you simply go onto a link in Order Portal, which I'll share with Brian, and I'll put it on the presentation. You click that link, you put in your company details, and then it says, do you want to activate a card now? You press it, you put in the unique 9-digit number that's on the back of the card, the value you want it, it'll automatically send you an invoice, and then the card will be active by the end of that day. So it means you can actually have a card that you can give out to an employee or give to someone as a gift from your office without any handling or any out of trouble. And it's there as you need it. So throughout the year, if there's an intern in or something else that might happen, it's a very simple way of giving a card out without having to go to the bother of going down to the shop or going online to get it posted out to you. It's just there for you. So that works very, very well. And a lot more companies are starting to use that function.
Okay, thanks, John. Laurie Doyle, a couple of questions have just come in. Laurie Doyle asks, is it possible, you know, what's the story with the expiry date really on cards? The other gift cards, if you don't spend within a specified time, the value goes down. Is that the same?
Yes. So our card, it's similar to most cards like this. So after month 13, we charge €1.40 per month. So you have full 12 months to use your card in all those locations. If you don't, every month, it's the lowest in the market. Our fee is €1.40. There's other cards that are up to €2 a month. So what we do is we encourage everybody to use their card and spend it, because if someone doesn't spend the card, we get nothing for it either. And it's a way of eventually, you see, it costs to actually hold on to money. So we need people to actually use the cards and need to encourage them to do that. So it's €1.40 per month after month 13. So you have a full year to spend your card in all these locations. And if you don't, every month you'll be charged €1.40 until you do spend it. And I think that's reasonable enough. There's other card companies that are charging up to €2 or €3 a month, which is very, very high. So, you know, the card is endless. If you heard the card, so there's no issues there, you know, regarding that.
I hope, Laurie, that answered your question. Nicola Dorn asks, can small food and craft producers sign up to take the card if they have a merchant ID? And are they only cost the percentage, and does it work with sum up? So 3 elements there. Can small food and craft producers sign up with the merchant ID?
Anybody that has a merchant terminal, I think we have one or two sum up customers. As long as they have a merchant ID number, we could do a test transaction to make sure it works. But certainly, you know, we'd encourage any business to accept the card, and it'll be up to them to promote people, and we'll list them, and it's up to them to try to get people to use the card in their premises, whether it be small or large. So absolutely.
Okay, and hope that answered that. Liz Healy asks, is there availability of images of the service for people to use promoting it on social media, or where would they get such images?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll work on that with Brian, and we will. There is some images on the Love Carlow website, I believe, specifically for it, but we'll put more images up, definitely, and put a way of maybe if you want to order point of sale or anything, we can do that on the Love Carlow Chamber site. Probably is the best way, because it'll be, you know, it'll be direct to what they want. Yeah. Okay.
That's great, John. I think we'll draw that to a close there. Good interaction. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
everyone.
guys.
That's John Wall, and John's contact details will be circulated by Brian, but I suppose Brian would be the first point of contact if you want to ask any questions or progress involvement with the Love Carlow card. So John, thank you very much, and best of luck in growing the business in Carlow. I suppose we're going to move on now and talk to a man who's on the front line of the challenges facing retail, and I'm talking about Philip Mcdonald. And Philip has 3 shops, bricks and mortar shops, 2 in Carlow, 1 in Kilkenny, detailed menswear. And I'm going to talk to Philip over the next 20 minutes or so just about to use that hackneyed phrase, the journey he's been on over the last couple of months. Philip, good morning to you. On
morning,
behalf
John.
of everyone, thanks for agreeing to do this. Just tell us a bit about detailed menswear and your happy old life before March 2020 came along.
Yeah.
Or stood outside the Washington embassy and said, close down from 6 o'clock, everybody.
Yeah. Just first of all, believe it or not, we are the longest established business here on Potato Market in Carlow. It's amazing to think that we are established in 1988 here on Potato Market, Carlow, but we are the longest established business. It's crazy to think that the town itself has moved this direction and up towards Fair Green and that. But we also then have operated a jeans store across the road here in Potato Market as well. And then in 2004, we moved to High Street in Kilkenny, opening up a jeans store, but rebranding there in 8 years ago to a detailed menswear store. We employ 14 full-time, believe it or not, and between the 3 stores. And so it's a big enough operation.
Yeah, and so when you said 1988, I kind of thought to myself, sure, that's just yesterday, but actually pinched myself, it's 32 years ago. The pace of change over that time, Philip, while dramatic, was pretty slow and kind of steady, but in many ways it was marked by, I suppose, over the last 10 years by a kind of constant peck away at retail by online and so on. Tell us about how you were dealing with that before COVID. You know, did you have a web presence? What were you doing on social media and so on?
Yeah, well, our online would be like most businesses. We would have Facebook presence and Instagram page as well, and then leading into our website. Now, our website pre-COVID was basically a landing page, a directory for our business, given the store details, opening hours, a little bit of e-commerce involved as well. So being able to purchase maybe a gift voucher at certain times of the year, then we catalogued and put up ranges like Tommy Bow clothing, which would be exclusive to ourselves. So we were able to do that, but we were only dabbling, be honest with you, John. Our focus was on the day-to-day running of our business, bricks and mortar. But basically, once that door shut in March, we had to focus our minds very quickly on what was ahead of us, because we had only one door open at that stage, and that was our online shop.
Yeah. So online was really kind of, you felt you had to have it, but you weren't putting much What kind of percentage business would it have been? Would it have been anyway?
Oh, John, it was just a speck of business. Basically, it wasn't even registering with us. But in saying that, I suppose the Instagram and the Facebook was directing a lot of customers towards our door anyway. But once we got catalogued up when COVID hit and that, as I said, we got moving very quickly to where we are now today. Like 6 months, it's just like night and day where we are, you know.
Talk to me a bit about like March, not exactly from the point of view of the stuff that you did, but just a bit about how you felt, because I think it's important that people understand and that everybody has a kind of a shared sense of how difficult it was back in March.
Oh, John, just a very emotional thing to close your door. You know, to say to your staff, you're going, like, we're not opening tomorrow. Like, that is just crazy, like, to think that, like, you know. We put up a post on our Facebook feed, just a video of me just explaining to our customers and trying to get the message across about closing and why we had to do it and that. And just the reaction there from people was just phenomenal. It was very emotional, to be honest with you, you know, to do that.
Yeah, a phrase you used to me when we were chatting about it before, that you felt your back was against the wall. How did you emerge from that?
Well, I suppose, you know, you go home and you feel sorry for yourself for the first couple of days, but you just realize very quickly that you have to get up and get going again. And as I said, through the medium of Facebook, Instagram, and then really focusing in on our website, what we could do to get product up online, we got going very quickly, and a lot of ours put into that, you know.
So you didn't reopen again. I think it's hard to remember all the different dates and so on, but you didn't reopen until the 8th of June. What did you spend the time doing from like mid-March until the 8th of June?
I suppose our focus was to get some sort of catalogue together and get our clothing representation up online. So there was a lot of pulling together imagery, taking a lot of the inventory and putting it into a coherent online catalog so that people could go in and look and be able to browse and be able to purchase. So there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on there and a lot of learning going on as well, to be honest with you.
And where did you look to, excuse me, to find out about how to do all this stuff? Because you were actually going from a scenario whereby you know, online was just a speck, as you described it yourself, to actually being your only hope for a while. You know, you didn't pick that up just in the wind. How did you upskill yourself on it?
As simple as YouTube, learning. We use a WordPress platform, so it's just tutorials, just online. WordPress was our YouTube. It's a great way of learning things, like, you know.
And what was the reaction like then when you did finally get it up on air? Was there a particular date when you pressed the send button and you went, that's the new version of our website?
Well, I suppose it's not quite where we want it just yet, but let me explain. I suppose everybody, the country was in shock, I suppose, initially, and it kind of took a couple of weeks for people to get their feet and what they were doing on a daily basis. But we really saw, like, mid-April to late April, it just took off. Our internet sales just really took off. I think I was telling you there in May alone, like, we were able to achieve a phenomenal situation. Like our jeans store, we were able to get 65% of our sales online for the month of May. Which
compared with the same May last year?
Zero.
Yeah.
Literally zero. So it had gone from 0 to 65%.
What kind of pressures did that place on the business? Like if someone who's listening to you who hasn't embarked on the journey, so to speak, what are the kind of pitfalls that you experienced and the things that you went, geez, I wasn't expecting that? Or, you know, was it delivery? Was it getting messages at 3 o'clock in the morning? What kind of stuff were you falling down on?
Well, the one thing for a happy life at home is definitely turn your phone off to mute anyway when you get into the evening situation at home, because there's nothing as frustrating for a partner to be hearing this ping, ping, ping going on your phone. Now, it's great for me because I know what it is. It's a sale coming through or whatever, but it is a little bit disruptive in the home environment, like, you know.
Yeah, what's the latest anybody's ever bought a pair of Tommy Bow shoes in Carlow?
Oh, I'd say 3 o'clock in the morning.
Impulse buy. Well, you know, you opened up then again, I think it was the 6th of June.
The 8th of June, John.
8th of June. What was it like then keeping both aspects of the business going? And talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, I suppose the biggest pitfall at the moment would be integration. So integrating your point of sale with your online offering. So at the moment, we have a lot of editing going on with the staff and that. But what we tried to do is that we wouldn't have funding there at the moment to be able to have integration and for our point of sale to be able to see our online shop. Now, we have something coming down the line, and I'll talk to you about that later, but that would be the biggest pitfall at the moment.
Yeah. You mentioned there, Philip, just the phrase editing with staff.
Yeah.
You know, that traditionally would be something that would be involved in a newspaper or somebody who's involved with content. So, you know, a retailer, you're now finding yourself having to edit, as you said yourself.
Yeah.
What kind of skills do you need for that, and how have you brought your staff along?
Well, what I mean by that, John, is the editing of the stock on our web shop. So if we have a sale at our point of sale, we have to go into our web shop and edit it from our web shop so that our system is live for a word that if somebody goes online, that the stock is there. You know what I mean? That is key for us, that if somebody goes online and takes that time to go to press pay or whatever, that the stock is there.
You mentioned your 14 staff, I think it was. How have they adapted to the huge change that's had to take place?
Listen, we work as a team, and the guys just embrace it, and to realize that it is a part of our business. It's our fourth door now at this stage. Like, people say to me, "What did you do for lockdown?" We opened up a fourth shop, basically. Like, you know, so it is part of what we do now. You know.
Yeah. Now, Sunday night we all got a shock with the possibility that we might be moving to level 5. We're in level 3. What kind of impact has that had on your business, and how do you see the months ahead?
Well, straight away, we have moved. We've moved our Christmas offer forward. So we would have had a situation where we have a offer in store, and we would launch it mid-November, leading into Christmas. We've launched it this week. So we've brought that forward, given the consumer an opportunity to be able to come in store or online. And that's going to be the biggest challenge for us, is to be able to replicate it online. At the moment, we'll have to just work it out that there'll be a refund situation there into the customer when they purchase. But that's going to be a challenge. But hopefully with funding and that, we'll be able to write specific code for our offering online.
Colin spoke earlier about the kind of uncertainty, and like, uncertainty is a feature of the future now. We don't know if we're going to be in level 3 up until Christmas, whether we're going to go back to level 2 in 3.5 weeks and so on. How do you deal with that uncertainty, both practically and from your own kind of headspace?
You know, we just have to keep going. We're business people. We can't lie down. It's just, you know, there's a lot of obstacles being thrown in front of us, but it's nothing different. The worst situation is 5 and lockdown, right? So where we're at the moment, it's a cakewalk basically to where we were in March. At least the doors are open and we can deal with that on a daily basis. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned about integration and further work that you need to do to integrate your point of sale. How are you going to do that, and what help is there out there for businesses like yourself?
Well, locally, I suppose you would have Leo, the local enterprise board, and there is an online voucher there available for people up to 2,500. But unfortunately, we sat outside of that because of the numbers that we employ. You have to have less than 10 people employed. So once you go above that, then you fall into the Enterprise Ireland. Now, there was a call for funding there in September, and there was a fund of €5.5 million worth of funding available. Now, it was a very competitive call. We had to put together an application that took the guts of 10 days. And we've made an application for about, I think it is about €45,000 worth of funding to be able to invest in our website, and the ultimate goal of smartening up our website, but the integration, that's the word, integration.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I noticed on the site is that you're pushing very strongly the whole sign up to the newsletter. And if you sign up to the newsletter, you get a 10% discount on all your purchases.
Right. Yep.
What's the rationale behind that?
Well, it's first of all, it's the 10% sign up, and people will be able to get the newsletter that we create once a month, letting people know offers and that in store. But also then it's just an automatic email coming back with a sign up on your one purchase, on your first purchase.
All right.
Now we will move now, once we've started our in-store Christmas offer, we'll move to a different offer then as well.
Okay. I'm getting the feeling that you've upskilled hugely and that you're a lot more up for the fight now. How are you feeling versus 12 months ago when you'd be looking at the Amazons and the big people? It strikes me that there's been a huge kind of move towards shop online but shop locally. Is that fair to say, and that there's a kind of a sea change?
Yeah, but I suppose first of all, looking at it 12 months ago, there was a fear there within our business of the internet, that we probably didn't have the skill set to be able to get a website together and to dedicate our hours to it. But it just was a case of having to. With regards to sorry, John, what was the other question?
The bit about how you actually have adapted and the whole shop local, shop online, and shop local.
Well, look, listen, 70%, I think it is, of all online purchases in this country come in from abroad. So listen, if we can just get a fraction of those people to start purchasing locally, and as I said, I come up with it like click local. So it's not even shop local, click local. So think about the local business, the guys like ourselves that has 14 employees that are trying to keep it going. It's amazing. If I think we worked it out, if we can get at the moment, we're at about 4% of our retail or our turnover there for the year online. If we can get to 8%, we can employ another employee full-time to be working on our website. So fantastic. It does pay off.
What about the seasonality of your business? Like many people, if they're selling spanners or they're selling wheelbarrows, there's not really, as far as I'm aware, a season for, well, I suppose there is a season for buying a wheelbarrow, but it's the same season. Fashion changes. Yeah. Fashion changes a lot. How do you manage with that, both from the selling and the buying point of view as well? That's changed too.
Yeah, well, I suppose the big change there, like we would buy two times a year is kind of the biggest 2 times a year is when we will go to trade shows, and in Germany, London, Amsterdam, and then into showrooms in Dublin. I suppose the big change this year has been the whole Zoom and doing things online. Has it worked? It's a case of having to work, but still there's nothing like getting in, trying on a sample, touching and feeling clothing in a showroom situation, not unlike a customer as well, wanting to come in and touch and feel and try on something, that's been a big challenge. Going forward at the moment, it's remaining like that. We're getting in appointments there now for next autumn, winter already, and a lot of that is going to be done by Zoom as well.
Just a question in from Colin Duggan, Philip. What about returns? Do you have a high rate of returns as a percentage of your sales, or how do you find that?
our returns is actually very small at the moment. Like I have one situation there that a customer that we knew bought something online during COVID. We knew his size and he actually had bought the wrong size. We called him and just asked him to scale up one. Now, it wasn't a very good to telling the guy he had to go up a size, but anyway, it worked out, and he came back and just appreciated the call of trying to take the hassle out of that, like, you know.
I presume there's an algorithm for that, but I think you were probably a bit ahead of the algorithm.
we call it a vanity scissors in the shop as well, that we can actually cut the size off as well if it really upsets you.
Oh, vanity scissors. Geez, I'm learning so much this morning. This is fantastic. Yeah, from people spend 55% more than the value of their voucher spending to a vanity scissors. That's a new one on me. Philip, you know, if you look back to February, what do you know now that you didn't know then, or what do you wish you'd known, or, you know, how have you changed? What's the big takeaway from the whole thing?
Well, I suppose keep your phone on mute at home at night anyway, because it's don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's only, you know, like we had that fear of the internet. Don't be afraid of it. You know, go for it. You know, why not? It's out there. It's for everybody. Have a go. Like, you know, it's what's the worst thing you can do? Fail. So, like, what about it? Like, you know, just go for it.
Yeah, because I suppose the failure to change in this rapidly changing world means you'll fail anyway.
You're going to fail anyway. You sit there and do nothing, it's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. You know, we, like, since 1988, we've constantly changed. Like, we, believe it or not, when we started here in 1988, we started as a unisex shop. We had men's and ladies. And it's just the evolution of business and being willing to change. You know, that's it.
Nicola Dorn says, Philip, fair play to you, Philip. Great to see such a positive attitude. Love the click local idea. And I think Nicola sums up how a lot of people on this call would be feeling, that, you know, fair dues to you. You had your back against the wall and you stared into the abyss, and you moved through it. And it sounds like you're surviving, which is the new thriving.
Yeah, but like it's constant, John. Like, you know what I mean, and the whole thing is constantly moving as well. But you have to move with it, you know.
Okay. Anyone like to make any comments or say anything, or for me to pass on any comments to Philip? No, I think we're all right. Can I see anyone typing there? Excuse me, coughing. It's actually all the talking that I do as part of my job rather than anything. I do have a mask just in case it's needed, but I don't think I'll get any of you. John Byrne echoing Nicola's words there, and Evelyn also. Positivity breeds positivity, and I think that's what was absolutely behind the motivation of the Chamber, of getting people together, because there's no shame in saying that, you know, as business operators or managers or even working in businesses, it's a very tough time, and we need to we all need to kind of feed off each other's positivity and help lift each other up. So more messages coming in from Chloe Murray, who says, love the click local idea. We are always trying to encourage people to go online. It doesn't need to be perfect, just need to be seen. And I think we Chloe's from Black Knight. I think we're really onto something when we're talking about the click local thing and the whole idea of shop online and shop local, because we'll all be living in wastelands if everything just keeps going to the big multinationals, the Facebooks, the Googles, and so on. So we need to support people like yourself, Philip.
John, just quickly there, just a big shout out to Black Knight. They were actually a huge help to us there. We had a couple of glitches and things we were learning as we were going along, and they were really supportive there of us when we were getting up and going, like, and a good local company as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Michaeli Nailan, and we have Alan O'Reilly from
yeah, Black Alan was Knight. A great help.
Yeah, does he give you weather information thrown in as well? Well, listen, Philip, thank you very much. And I suppose
No problem, John.
I can't find the icon for a round of applause on a Zoom call, but Bula Bus and well done. And thanks for sharing your positivity with us this morning. We're going to move on now. And Colin mentioned earlier on about Business Box, which the local enterprise office are doing, and we're delighted to be part of that with through KCLR, and we're offering a prize, the local enterprise office and ourselves, of a €4,000 marketing campaign on KCLR, because it's very important to get the message across. And we've worked with many businesses over the last couple of months, whether it's Sean Swan or Philip and so on, who've continued to keep their name out there, and that's very important. But equally, I'll be taking part in the Business Box workshops myself, and giving a workshop on how you can get more from the media, because while a lot of the talk, or the vast majority of the talk, is about the Facebooks and Googles and so on, and the social media platforms, you know, that we do have a healthy local media. KCLR is a healthy media business. We're under pressure like every other business, but we do have 80-something thousand listeners every week on our radio station, and add to that a huge social network. And people don't need to be spending money on advertising necessarily for us to be able to help. We're always open to hearing positive business stories, as I mentioned on my program, for example. But the next speaker is Evelyn Moynihan of Champion Green, and I'd like to welcome Evelyn. And Evelyn is going to talk about her company's championing of supporting local businesses. So Evelyn, over to you. And as normal, if people have any questions they'd like to ask of Evelyn, they can put them into the chat box throughout. So over to you, Evelyn. And
great.
Thank you all.
Thanks, John, and thanks, Philip. Well done. So thanks for inviting me on this morning. I'm delighted to be part of this talk. And as John described, I want to talk you through Champion Green and what it's all about, and give you a sense of what we've been up to over the last couple of months, and then talk about the plans for the next quarter. So I suppose a lot of businesses there to play for in Q4, notwithstanding all the challenges that we have in front of us. But look, it's really important that we know what supports and what tools are there, I suppose, to support local business over the next while. The background to this is I work for Kilkenny Design, so the Kilkenny Design Group, hopefully you know us. We've 16 shops, 5 restaurants and a growing online site. So lots of what you described, Philip, I can relate to. Again, over the last 6 months, we've gone from online representing 5% of our business to nearly 20%. So it's been that kind of dramatic, the change that we've gone through. And I suppose the history to this is last, I suppose, November, we launched an initiative called Green Friday. And it was all about, like what you're describing earlier about all the business going out of the country, when people go to shop online, getting people to think about supporting local and supporting Irish on the run up to Christmas last year. And we got really good traction from it and really good results from it. And during the depths of closure back in March, we regrouped and we said, well, what can we do? What can we do to help? And we knew in Kilkenny Design we couldn't go it alone. And we've been working since Green Friday last year with the Small Firms Association, Chambers Ireland, and Ian Talbot, Retail Excellence, and we've a brilliant supporter in Visa Ireland working with us and investing behind this initiative. So that's kind of the background to it. And Kilkenny Design, I suppose, are the creator of it. We do all the marketing for it, and we work closely with the trade bodies in planning it and looking at where does it go next, etc. So that's kind of the background to it. Hopefully you've seen some of this green butterfly on your social media or even on TV over the last while. But as I described, it's a national movement working with government, industry, business and public to really support businesses on their road to recovery. As we work through COVID, I suppose, as kind of emerging out and emerging back into different restrictions. So it's very much kind of supporting business in how to live with it, I suppose. And we have an online website called championgreen.ie. If you haven't done so already, one of the things I'd encourage you to do is to go onto the site and actually pledge your support. And then you'll fall into, I suppose, regular communication about Champion Green, what it's about. We did a webinar this morning, so I'm hot off another webinar, actually with the Kilkenny Chamber and Retail Excellence in Small Firms on Champion Green, the latest issues, what the restrictions mean, all that good stuff, just to support business and to support chambers and networks throughout the country over the coming months. So that's probably just kind of one heads up. And again, we spent a lot of time, where a lot of us are strong marketing background, I suppose, and we spent a lot of time considering the symbol and what we wanted it to represent, etc. And we landed on this beautiful green Irish butterfly. And again, it was a sense of, obviously, the butterfly cocoons, you know, it kind of, you know, it develops and then it emerges, and it emerges stronger no matter what kind of effects it goes through. And also the sense of the butterfly effect. And it's been mentioned earlier, Philip, you mentioned about other businesses coming in and supporting where you needed it. And even this network call this morning, it is all about collaborating and working together. So small effects can make a big difference. And by working together, we can make a difference here. So just to give you a sense of it, like it's been a big success online. And, you know, we've talked a lot about the importance of digital marketing and e-commerce, but the hashtag Champion Green, when we started off thinking of the names and coming up with Champion Green, there was only kind of 100 people had used hashtag Champion Green as a tweet and in different guises. So that's actually 13,000 this morning amount of people who are using it as a hashtag. And like, we look out for those businesses then that use it, and we reshare and we put a spotlight on them. We've had 3,000 pledges to date, and that's been growing. And as I said, then once businesses pledge, they fall into kind of an ongoing communication, and you know about our webinars that are happening, and you hear about the tools that are available to support local. We've been strong on Instagram and Facebook, and also the users to the site. You can go on and actually download the toolkits, which have particular messages, and I'll show you them in a while, around support local, you know, Champion Green. Local online sites is one that we're really getting into over the next week. So Philip's Click Local is resonating a lot with me, because we actually posted yesterday about the fact that 70% of business leaves the country when people do go online. So we need people to think just that bit more about, when you are looking for something, go Irish first, go local first. And of course, if you can't get it, there are other options, but it's just changing that behaviour with all people, I suppose. So as part of this programme, we've been doing a lot about how do we educate people, and it's interesting working with the trade bodies. They have great access to research. They're in and out to the government the whole time. And like, we're very clear that we feel our role is to help educate people on the key kind of facts that are out there. So when we launched in June, and it was the 25th of June, the biggest stat that went viral was working with the Small Firms Association. It was the fact that if every one of us spent an extra €20 a week in small businesses over the next 3 months, it would boost our local economy by 875 million. So like, that was an amazing, I suppose, a massive stat. And also, lads, we all know it's tough times. Like, a lot of households have been affected, or may be affected in the coming months, and they're nervous. So this idea of a small bit every week, be it your local cafe, your local gym, your local cinema, your local shop, your local menswear, like Philip, like, it really make the difference. And it's trying to get and educate people, I suppose, about the difference every one of us can make. And also, this is another stat, we talked about the 70% leaving, but if I turn it more positive, if we could get 1% of that back into Ireland, it would mean 30 million of that online sales that happen at the moment. So it's just kind of trying to break it down, and like, some of these stats can feel massive, but actually, if we kind of break it down and chunk it down, and even Philip, I like the way you talked about your 4% going to 8%, like, that'll be a massive impact. It's another job. And that's the way we kind of need to be thinking about things. Also, just some of the other posts that we shared that went down very well. Again, over 85% of the country are employed by small and medium-sized businesses. So I know we hear a lot about the big employers and the importance of them and the jobs that are announced, but like, our country is run, and the backbone of our business, our country, is SME. You know, is the likes of yourselves that are on this. And that's so important, that for our kids' future, that I suppose the country remains vibrant, that local businesses remain vibrant. But I do know, like what Philip said, we're going to have to adapt, or we're going to be left behind. And it's that kind of support and nudge and encouragement. But for normal Joe Soaps out there to kind of think about it again in deciding where they spend their money. And again, to the right, like the kind of things we're encouraging, and it's very simple, is things like choose consciously who you shop with, try new local businesses to help keep jobs. So if you were thinking about going to trying out a new cafe or, a new, takeaway or whatever it is, just do it now because they need it now. Share recommendations with businesses, and look, the recommendation is great because you absolutely could be bringing a new customer to someone, but we know it ourselves in Kilkenny Design. When we hear a recommendation for one of our shops, sure, we're all doing somersaults. We're thrilled with it, and it means so much. And there's such an important, I suppose, message as well about keeping people positive, motivating people despite how hard it is. And then follow local businesses on social media, definitely. They're all into how many followers, what kind of levels of engagement. So again, spending a bit of time on that in your local community and doing it for your own local business is really important. And again, giving a good review, like that goes so long. And people buy from people, we know it ourselves in our own business. So that's just to kind of give a flavour of what we're about. As an overview, we had a very strong launch. And again, we couldn't have done it without the trade bodies and the support of Visa. But we were on RT, TV, radio, News Talk, Today FM, a lot of the major channels, and 98 FM. And again, the big focus was absolutely getting the Champion Green message out there, but hugely as well spotlighting local businesses. So that's one of the shout outs I have for Carlow, is if you do come on and you pledge, we'd like you to send a story or a summary about your business, and we'll give it a shout out and we'll give it a feature. Like we've gone to towns with some of the media partners like Ballinasloe. We went with News Talk. They walked the town. They highlighted businesses. We're going to be doing more of that over the next while. So I was delighted when Brian invited me to come on. And again, we might discuss at the end whether we think there's an opportunity for Carlow. And look, here's some of the media. I mentioned about our beautiful butterfly. We definitely did use it very prominently in everything we did. And Aveen Gary has worked with us. She's one of our I suppose, makers in Kilkenny Design with her sleep care range. Bio is her range. So again, she was delighted to come online as well and launch the campaign with us and help champion it as we went. And look, again, this, guys, but a lot of the influencing or persuasion goes on now on digital marketing. So we did work quite a lot with influencers, both national and local. To get influencers, you might know influencers in Carlow, but to get them into your shops, to get them promoting your stuff, it does work. People do listen to them. People sell from or buy from people. And then to the right, you can see some of the point of sale as well that we've been using as well, just the all rise and support local messaging that's available on the toolkit that people can get the artwork printed off. And again, it's just to help people really drive that message as well for your own businesses. And look, another innovative thing we've been working on, and this is going to go around the country as well. It started off in Dublin, but we worked with Aviva Ireland. Again, you'll hear a lot about businesses being shuttered up and closing down and rents being kind of outrageous and pushing some retailers, I suppose, to out of business. But one of the initiatives we worked on with Aviva Ireland was actually taking an empty space on Stephen's Green. And Jill, a new and upcoming designer, went into the space for 6 months free of charge and free rates. So a massive step up for them. And look, they're really maximising it. And it's something that Aviva Ireland are delighted with. And it's giving them a start, and it's bringing something new to the high street. And it's an initiative that we're looking at for other areas now regionally as well as Dublin to do, because it's in no one's interest to have businesses shuttered up. Like, we're going to have to start thinking innovatively and differently, about how we kind of revive town centres and city centres. So that's just one that is kind of, we're working on more in the background, and it will come around the country. That's our plan. So look, that was kind of an update on what Champion Green is about. What I probably wanted to mention to you today is, I suppose, a few things. I'd encourage you to go on and pledge on the site, and we will be looking for businesses to spotlight. And if we get enough from Carlow, there might be a bigger story for Carlow. So again, put in your information onto the site, sign up, and also there's info@championgreen.ie. Let us know your story. Let us know what you've been doing to kind of pivot, I suppose, during Champion Green, and we'll take a look at that. Definitely, we're going to go on a big drive for launching Christmas early, like what Philip talked about. We will be doing a massive drive for Green Friday, shop local on the run up to Christmas. And that means both online and in-store and click and collect. And actually, us in Kilkenny Design, we started up a whole new channel in phone sales. We never did this before. But again, people that can't come into us or are a bit more nervous are actually buying from us over the phone. So it's kind of, we will be going on a drive across all channels to very much encourage people to support local. Just to let you know, if you were interested in getting kind of point of sale sent out, again, email us. This just gives you a flavour here of some of the stuff that we're looking at, you know, support local here. And we will be doing quite a bit of activity as well on the run up to Green Friday. And then the last thing just to mention to you is we are looking at a local app working with Visa and a startup. And it's going into pilot over the next number of weeks, but it literally is a simple app where you can put on loyalty measure or loyalty offers or promotional offers onto the app. If I'm a customer and I have the app, I could see all the offers that are available in Carlow. And again, it would just encourage me to shop local. So again, we're looking at a pilot there at the moment for Castleknock and Kilkenny. Again, if you're interested in that, again, you can email info@loyalb.io. If you wanted to get some information sooner on that, but that's one that we are piloting. And I think when we've the pilot results, Brian, John and John, it might be good to come back to Carlow and kind of share it. If you, again, see if you're interested in doing something on that, because it is something that we will make available to all the country, but it's something we want to pilot and make sure we have right before it goes wider. And it's another tool from Champion Green to help businesses and to help customers shop local. So that's it. John?
Thanks very much, Evelyn. Have people any questions for Evelyn while you're thinking about that? I think everyone was impressed, Evelyn, with the stats you mentioned. Sven Boren Eriksson had about like the €20 a week in local shopping or local spend equates to 875 million. That's quite amazing spend. So I think the message is lots of small changes make a huge difference.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's the stat, John, that really resonated with people when we went live and it went viral. And look, we work with over 250 designers and makers, and I would say nearly every single one of them grabbed it and shared it on their own page. And it is just, I think it's simple changes, like you say, John, will make the difference here. Like we're not going to radically change all our behavior overnight, and then that's not sustainable either. So it's like, I think everybody, when we're doing a lot of research at the moment with consumers, and they're all saying to us they want to make this change, and us as businesses can make it easier by highlighting what's local and Irish, by highlighting the easy ways to do business with us, you know, by helping on gifting, by helping people on the run up to Christmas. But again, I think it's those small steps will make the difference, and they do add up.
Okay. Anyone like to make any comments or ask Evelyn any questions or so on, or will we move on? No, I don't see any questions. So I'd just like to thank you, Evelyn, and congratulate the Kilkenny shop for a fine initiative. And it's refreshing to see that your logo and Visa's logo isn't plastered all over it, which is often the case in such things. So it's at times like this, it's great to see businesses stepping up and trying to act as enablers and bring people together and work with the Chamber. So thanks very much for that. Okay, folks, Evelyn, you anything else? Can you just repeat the email address?
So info@championgreen.ie. Okay, and the website is championgreen.ie, and you can see the tab to pledge. And once the Carlow businesses do that, we'll have them in the system. And I would encourage you to put forward your stories, and we will look at it. I can come back to Brian on it as well, but look to spotlight it, because we do have media, I suppose, partnerships in place for the next few months, and we are looking for areas to focus in on. So I'd encourage you to do that. Okay. If people are up for it. If people are up for it. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks very much, Evelyn. And I suppose just on the question of media, I noted about RT and News Talk and so on, just to say to people not to forget the local media, the Nationalist as well, and so on. And just as we're on stats, an interesting stat, KCLR and Beat together, according to the Independent JLR report, have a bigger market share locally than RTE, 2FM, Today FM and News Talk combined. So that's a shameless plug as well. So don't forget us in that respect as well. There's a question in from Brendan O'Hara, which relates to Carlow Town, the core area, and the future of the High Street. Does the panel have any imaginative ideas on how we can revitalise downtown and increase footfall, especially for small independent stores under difficult trading conditions? I think what's best to do in that circumstance is Kieran Comfort at the local enterprise office is going to talk to us now. Perhaps, Kieran, you might just bear that in mind in your remarks to us, and then if we have any time at the end of this session, maybe we can discuss that question from Brendan. Is that okay with you, Brendan? I can't see you. I can't see you, but maybe we can discuss that at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to move on, and our next speaker has been very busy since March. He's always been a busy man. Like the ploughing was huge last year, no ploughing this year, but normally I'd talk to Kieran if there was a new business support scheme being launched and so on, and we cover it on the radio and so on. It's absolutely, there's been so many new schemes launched since the pandemic broke. And I know for a fact that the local enterprise office has never been busier, and equally I know that their work has never been more important nor more appreciated. So perhaps to give us an insight onto that, to talk to us about what lies ahead and the supports that can be given, and also to maybe give some sense as to how the local enterprise office can work with businesses on things like generating footfall, revitalising the town centre in such unprecedented challenges as we face. Please welcome Kieran Comfort.
Thanks, John, and thanks to Brian and Colin and all the team of the Chamber for organising today. I'm just going to do the usual share the screen job, and hopefully this works. Can you see the slides there, John, in front of you? Lovely. So thanks for the introduction, and the speakers have been really interesting this morning, and always delighted to hear from the various partners in the context of the retail sector. I suppose I've done a brief presentation, and it's more a discussion piece because, as John has indicated, on early March I had a £1 million support programme written, which had to be thrown in the bin and started again because of COVID. And since then we've rolled out supports in a number of areas, and we continue to do that into the future. Just to give you an idea of the volume of some of the things that went through the office in Carlow. So trading online voucher scheme, we've done 7 years work since COVID has kicked off from the point of view of volumes of applications. The number of people engaged has been over 2,500 people between business people and also individuals. But also we're seeing a lot of companies that are looking at COVID as an opportunity. So just to give you a brief snapshot of our work within Carlow County Council. Firstly, we are within Carlow County Council. Some people don't know that, but we are. Our brief covers 3 topics. One is the whole area of special projects, one is the area of economic development, and one is the area of business support. So we have a team, it's based in and out of Enterprise House now, and Michael Rainey is our director. So I'm going to flick through a few things in the context of the retail sector. Also, I'm going to talk a bit about Carlow Town Centre in the context of the future and mention some of the plans we have around that space. And then I'm happy to open any questions in the context of going forward. So just to mention, I suppose, in the context of the retail sector and how we approach it, and it's no different than any sector, is that the first thing we have to do is look at, I suppose, nationally what way resources are focused, and then basically tailor it to the local need. So when we look in the context of Carlow and the kind of 6 pillars when we look at retail, there's kind of 6 areas we work in. I'm going to cover these areas in a bit of detail in a second. So there's the broad economic development stuff, which is really the council working with chambers and other bodies in order for doing certain projects. There's financial support provided by EI. There's financial support provided because of COVID. There's business advice and mentoring, and John mentioned the business box, which we will shamelessly plug as we go through this seminar as much as possible. And then we've capacity development and training. And if we actually break it down just to give, and I suppose there's 175 roughly supports available for business before COVID. And a lot of people had trouble navigating it. So if I look at retailers, and I suppose just under those pillars, to give you the type of things you should be asking for and looking at. Firstly, on the economic development side, Yes, we do cooperative marketing projects. Some of them are nationally done, some of them are locally done, and we get lots of people approaching us with lots of different projects, from apps to marketing campaigns to you name it. We get approached about us, and we will work with strategic partners in that context, and we do that. We're currently talking to Carlow Chamber about a new project. We're talking to Carlow Tourism about a new project as well. So a big part of my job is looking at those projects from a county-wide viewpoint and look at the appropriate approach. Christmas comes into that. I'm going to give you a snapshot of what the council is doing for Christmas, which hasn't been announced yet. So I'll go through, I suppose, from our viewpoint, what way it's going to work. When COVID kicked in, the whole thing of street furniture became an issue for a number of people, or coming outside your premises. So we took a flexible approach. That flexible approach is still in place, and particularly with the new lockdown, if people do have challenges in that space, do come talk to us. We do have a budget for shopfront grants. It's closed now. It opens every January to March. It's closed now because we have to literally let a bit of time for the actual work to happen. We will hopefully reopen that in November, December. But they're on the economic side of the house. Now, we do multitudes of other things around festival events and tourism, but I said I'd really be focused today on the whole retail side. From the point of view of financial support, and there's 3 products that are mainly open for the retail community. And these are outside of the Restart grants and rates waiver, which I'll talk about in a second. What people have availed for in general in the retail community is, firstly, there's a product called Lean for Micro. And a lot of companies in Carlow have used that to help them get consultants in around relaying out their shop around physical distancing. So they've really struggled about, well, actually, my customer experience has always been X or Y. We need some help in from a visual marketing viewpoint, from a layout viewpoint, from logistics viewpoint. Also, and Philip mentioned it earlier, one of the challenges we've had with a lot of companies is they have a bricks and mortar presence, and they want to in tandem develop the online presence and the logistics behind it rather than the actual technology. So we've used that product for that as well. There's no matching in that. It's an application process. We can share the application forms with Brian. The consultancy value is up to €5,000. So as I said, that's something we do locally, and we currently have 7 companies on it, but we've had further on it earlier in the season. We had a group of retailers on it. From a point of view of grants, Enterprise Ireland doesn't give a lot of grants to retail. It's mainly in the form of loan instruments, and the loan instrument that we manage on behalf of Microfinance Ireland is the MFI loan. And there's 2 versions of the MFI loan. One is the COVID version of it, and one is the normal version, which always existed before COVID. In general, retailers, this has been used for restocking with us. So we've done a number of applications for people who can't get finance from their banks, and successfully got 25 to 50,000 euros worth of funding, depending on the scheme at the time, for restocking of businesses, and that's what people have used it for. Just in the point of view, if you are applying for that, the one thing retailers would say to us, well, I don't have the money to pay my accountant to help me with the application. If you're in that situation, just come to us and say that to us. We'll appoint an independent financial person to work with you on the application. There's absolutely no problem doing that. It's been mentioned a number of times, the Trading Online voucher scheme. The Trading Online voucher scheme was, the matching rate was increased to 90%. It's currently closed for applications, pending clarification from the department on the percentage rates, because it closed on 30 September. And in Carlow, just to give you an indication, last year our budget was 30,000. This year our budget is just shy of $500,000. So it's been a significant increase in demand for people to trade online. The process is generally they attend a seminar, they fill out a good application, they get their quotes, they send it in, and they evaluate it. Currently, it's taken 2 to 3 weeks to process them due to the volume of applications. Now that we have a pause, obviously we're getting a chance to do it. You have 4 months to get the work done from the time of it. But I think the one thing about the Trading Online voucher scheme is it's not just purely about your website. It is about how your business operates and how online trading fits into a marketing package, if you want to put it that way. Financial support from cover response viewpoint, the main 2 headline items you'll see is the Restart Grant Plus and the various names of that, and then the rates waiver. The rates waiver is obviously a central government thing. At this stage, you should have got a letter from the rates office telling you the rates waiver has been applied to your account. And if you haven't got that letter, feel free to reach out to me and I can get in contact with our finance people. The Restart Grant Plus and the Restart Grant Before it is obviously based on a percentage loss model. It's a self-declaration model, and it was launched in 2 phases. You probably saw yesterday the Minister, Taoiseach, announced a 30% top-up on it for the effect of this week's 3 weeks turn down. And the only thing, just to be fair to all of you and being really transparent, there is a bit of a lag between things are being announced and things being implemented. So when they're announced, so that was announced yesterday, the day before, we still don't have a detail of how to implement that. So when the first Restart Grant was announced, it was announced in May. It was 4 weeks later we got the detail how to implement it. And I have to say, it is the one complaint we're currently getting from retailers and other people is the amount of time it takes to process and things like that, all these applications. So where possible, we run seminars or briefings if you're stuck on the application. With the Restart grant in Carlow, we couldn't operate a call line. We have over 700 applications, so it's done in an email system. So we're working through them as much as possible. If you do have genuine issues or concerns, do feel free to reach out to me directly and we'll see can we get them sorted. The other thing is they've extended the date until the end of October. Again, that hasn't been officially announced, but it is there. The business advice and mentoring, a lot of people, especially in the early days of COVID, just wanted to have a sounding board. And we have a team of advisors who work with clients, so they met with a number of people. We also have a team of Brexit advisors as well who work with people through some of the Brexit challenges currently are there as well, because Brexit hasn't gone away in the middle of all this. It's very much, in particular in the last few weeks, has ramped up. One of the things, especially around the retail sector, people have struggled with is they might want to get specialist support around pivoting their business. So traditionally we have a team of staff up at Enterprise House, but also we have a team of subcontractors who work for us who are basically specialist advisors. So those people would work with us on an ongoing basis to actually give advice to small and medium businesses. And that's a free service. You apply to it through our website and we appoint a specialist to you for up to 3 or 4 sessions. We also do capacity development and training for the retail sector. So one of the things, for example, the business box, which John kindly got behind with KCLR, was purely down to the fact that a lot of retailers and other businesses were coming to us saying, we are struggling financially to fund our marketing activities. We can't fund ads in papers and things like that, but we can actually fund certain development programs. So the actual business box, if you look at the structure, and I'll be going through in a second, you can actually get up to 500 euros worth of support for 50 quid or so. So you can get everything from a photographer going out to your business to take really high-end photography, to advice from John, to advice from other specialists around exhibitions. James Burke, who's internationally known for the retail thing around the whole Christmas sector. So as I said, those programs we are doing. And the other thing, we've said this to multiple sectors at this stage, if there is a training need in your sector, just reach out to us and have a chat with us. We don't mind doing it by street. We don't mind doing it by topic. We've done it in the last few months and that viewpoint. The final thing to mention is then Brexit supports. As I said, Brexit supports are still there. We are finding a lot more people engaging with us in the context of Brexit. And the main program we would say is Prepare Your Business for Customs program. It's a free BDO program. It's run over 2 days. Well, it was run in 1 day. It's 2 online sessions now as opposed to a full day online. But again, we do have a specialist Brexit advisory team in-house to help people with the Brexit issues. So just to give you a sample of some of that stuff, the business box, as I mentioned, there's 7 parts to it. Basically, they're the dates. You go onto our website, that's the number of places. It's 10 euros a place. And we only just, by the way, reintroduce fees. We'll be completely transparent about reintroducing fees. Where our drop-off rate and non-show rate was reaching 40%. So we had to do something in order to show a small contribution. So it literally is a tenner, just so you have some commitment to it. And that's on a sliding scale depending on the cost of the program. But for this particular program, everything is 10 euros. So you can get Finbar O'Rourke to come out to your business for half a day, do photography for 10 euros. You can have a session with John, which is obviously a group session, and all those other things in the context of it. And as I said, the bookings are open. They are coming in quickly. And at the end of this, and John mentioned the 4,000 euro package, if you attend any of these sessions, you will have an opportunity to pitch for the 4,000 euros. So during November, myself and John will sit down, we'll come up with a quick criteria of how you enter that, and then basically we'll award that in December. And you can obviously then work with KCLR, because again, it's really important that local media has been really good to us, I know, over the last few months. And national media, obviously, we work with in a very different way, but local media from a local viewpoint has been there. Just on the issue of Christmas, and part of our brief is to look after Christmas. In-house, we have 2 people who look after the Christmas program, Helen Ryan and Pierce. They might be both on the line. And one of the things we're looking at is 2 years ago, we rebranded Christmas into County Carlow, a festive family experience. And traditionally, that catalogue came out. There was over 200 physical events in it. There was lighting ceremonies and things like that. And when we looked at COVID this year and looked at some of the challenges, we had to completely pivot how we're going to approach this in the context of supporting it. So Christmas, from a county viewpoint, just after Halloween, we'll launch the programme. That'll be a media launch subject to various things. And then I suppose what we really want to do is design a number of initiatives that are all about engagement and community and voice and things like that, rather than about events and gathering. And I know we love events, gathering, but we just don't know. So basically, and again, there's opportunities for retailers at no cost to get involved in a number of these things. The first thing we're going to do is there's 40 odd primary schools in town, and we're conscious a guy in a red suit probably can't visit shopping centres this year. So one of the things we're doing online is all 40 schools are going to get a customised video in association with a local business and then a message. And actually, whichever school gets the most likes for their video, and we're going to do those in 2 groups to be fair, is actually going to get a prize for their school. So basically the idea is that person in the red suit will visit Carlow shortly. He'll record all the messages, and obviously then we'll start feeding them out. So just say Ballinabrana Primary School will get a message from him and some of his helpers, and then basically they'll have to share that with their parents' families. And it's really about getting the message out there. We're open, by the way, to having commercial messages built into that, so in association with your local shop and things like that. And we're just working out the detail of that at the moment. After that project is finished, we're going to do a project called Light Up Carlow. We can't have lighting ceremonies this year, so the idea is that we're basically going to run an online competition that basically people are going to post images or videos of them lighting up their Christmas tree, either in a business, wherever. And what we're doing is we're actually giving away a voucher for any shop in the 3 municipal districts. We're structured politically into 3 areas. So basically there'll be 3 prizes, 1 from each area. And again, it's an opportunity for us to work with retail and other people just to highlight what's there in the context of it. We will have posters, banners, and we are doing in the major towns, we are doing shop local signage as well. So you will see County Carlow Christmas Family Experience, shop local in association with a number of retail experiences there. So that's coming up. For the retail community itself, there will be a window display competition that will kick off on the 8th of December, and we will have some judging process around that. We haven't decided the prizes for it yet, but there will be prizes for retailers in it. The lighting programme, we are putting up Christmas lights in Carlow Town and obviously the various county towns, and that's working. We're working with KCLR again. We've done 2 campaigns with KCLR. We're in the middle of the second one at the moment. So the shop local one, which was really successful earlier on, which was, and we're in the middle of Taste Kilkenny and Kilkenny and Taste Carlow and Carlow. They're currently on a bit of a pause because of the 3-week lockdown, but we will be coming back out both counties with a Christmas version of that. So it will be a tour around the towns, again, about getting the retail stories out into the media in a nice, free, easy format, because what we constantly hear from people is they don't know how to approach KCLR, they don't know how to do this, whereas when the outside broadcast arrives in the town or area, we have a way of booking it, and obviously we work with KCLR on the whole issue of COVID controls and getting interviews done and working that way. So as I said, that's something we will be fleshing out with John and his team in the next few weeks just to get that going. The final thing is we actually are bringing out a new project called Tasting Carlow. We have a new food and drink strategy, and we're keen to change how we market food and drink experiences in the county. So we're going to be reaching out and launching a new kind of marketing tool around that. So they're the kind of 8 aspects to Christmas that we're working on this year. The whole issue of physical events is up in the air, quite literally. We have looked at everything that is done across Europe. We've looked at various things, and we've talked to various parties. It is extremely difficult to figure out what's the right and wrong thing to do. So right now, it's digital supporting physical, but there will probably be some physical aspects of things. We just need to figure out how they work, and we're working through that at the moment. So that's Christmas. Just on 2021 and beyond, we invest every year in training and marketing, or training and development. So one of the things we are asking people currently is fill out a survey. So if you're in the retail community and you want programs run for your staff, fill out the survey for 2021. It was mentioned earlier, and I know when I was talking to Brian, the Chamber earlier, we were talking about the consultation for the master plan. So I'm going to give you a snapshot of, I suppose, our approach to what's happening in Carlow Town in particular. Apologies if you're a retailer from outside Carlow Town, but the county town is important. We've been working on a master plan for Carlow Town, and we have a €21 million application in for the regeneration of the town centre under the URDF fund. That's based on a strategy which has a number of projects, and I'll circulate these slides, or Brian can circulate these slides afterwards, which has the links on it. So the idea is that in the future we have a frame, and the frame has all the projects that we agree to in the context of large-scale projects and small-scale projects for the future, and that's into a plan that's out for consultation. The consultation is currently on. We have absolutely no issue meeting any grouping. So if you're a group of traders in Carlow Town, if you're from the vintners or anywhere like that, we will meet any group in the next number of weeks in order to give you a presentation and overview of the plan. The plan has 5 or 6 aspects, and there's the contents of it. So I'm going to go through that in brief in a moment. But basically, it works from a policy context down to a project context and works that way. It is a vision, by the way. So basically what it does is it sets guiding principles for us to apply for funding for. So Kilkenny has their Abbey Quarter. This is our version, basically, of the Abbey Quarter in the context of it. So in brief, the map of Carlow Town is there. And I suppose there's a number of interventions we've applied for. The first intervention we applied for is on Barrack Street, connecting it to Potato Market, the upgrading of Potato Market, and then the upgrading of Tullow Street in the context of it. We've taken all the learnings from the previous plans and basically put them in and basically said, well, here's a different approach to how we do it. And again, we need to, just to reiterate, these are visions in the context of funding, and then we go to part 8, which is a detailed planning process. So I know the last time we did this, there was issues around parking and other issues that are there, and we've tried to address those as much as possible in the vision. So for example, in Potato Market, the whole pedestrianisation thing is not on the agenda. It is realigning the street in order to achieve greater spaces. So in the Carlow Castle area, there's projects. So as I said to Brian today, I'll mention this in brief. We don't have time during this session to go through it in detail, but very happy to meet people at any stage of it. So I suppose it sets out the guiding principles for the town. As part of our brief as well is to look short term about how we generate footfall. So one of the things we've recently done is taken a lease on the yard beside Detail, beside Phillips, and we will be creating an indoor market in that space in the next period of time in order to have controlled COVID type events in the next period of time. And again, we're constantly looking at projects in the context of what can be done to generate footfall. And the one thing about footfall generating projects is to get buy-in from various people. So we can't do this on our own. It has to be a partnership. And as said, we will meet traders, we will meet various people to come up with these projects and basically try to develop them as much as possible. So the reimagining of the spaces, and there's 8 visuals around the reimagining of space, so I won't go through them now, but as I said, it's all around how opportunity sites are used and other connectivity in the context of it. In the point of view of how you have your say, the entire plan is online. We have a piece of software called Civic Q, so you can interact with the entire plan online, and you can comment on a page or a section on it, but you have until the 26th at 5 o'clock to do it. That's the Monday of the bank holiday. At that point, we'll look at it and try finalise it or come into a final draft of it with a view to launching it later in the year. I will say again, it is a vision for regeneration, so out of it comes core projects, and the core projects are listed in it as well. As I said, there's the screenshot of how you make a submission, and also gives you an idea of how you go through it. So as I said, it's a whistle-stop tour. I'm very happy to take questions or discuss anything, John, and I'll hand back to yourself.
Kieran, huge amount of stuff going on. It's quite mind-blowing to think that you had 175 different schemes going before COVID, and there's a huge amount going on as well. And as well as COVID, of course, as you outlined there, you know, you're working on the vision for the years ahead, and engaged in a consultation process there. In answer to Brendan's question about what we can do for the town centre, there's certain elements of that which will be relevant to that, and that's a longer term thing. I would suggest, Brendan, that perhaps as we're running out of time here now, that's something that the Chamber might take on and discuss in the short term, and with Kieran and the local enterprise office. It is a delicate balancing act between seeking to attract footfall and then complying with the measures that are required through COVID safety. And that's the dilemma of many retailers, especially smaller retailers. There was also a question in from Emma Meredith, well, more of a suggestion really, Emma, from the National Learning Network, about work experience and placements and so on, how that can be managed. And I think Brian will take that on as well. I don't know if there are any specific questions for Kieran. Kieran, just about from myself, could you just briefly give us, just recap on the MFI loan and how people go about that and who's it for and how it would be applicable for people in retail?
Yeah, it's a loan. In the context of the products, it's for people who can't access finance from their banks traditionally. So that's the first thing we look at. So ideally, we want people to go to their banks because you need to have a relationship with your bank. So once you've hit that wall, you then come to ourselves Basically, you can get up to 25,000 on the current product. There's a 6-month payment break, and the process is there's an application. It's very similar to the bank application. Supporting documentation is the usual credit register things and the various other statements that goes with it. The only difference with this is it's actually, A, if you go through the local enterprise office, you get a percentage less, and B, it's evaluated. The first stage of evaluation is done locally. So when it goes to Dublin, it's our job to put a local slant on it. So for example, I did one yesterday, obviously won't name who I did yesterday, but it was in the context of it. The local knowledge is us saying, actually, this area is really good for this, or this area is really good for that, or, you know, given that local context of why it should be supported, and then endorsement or not of it. So, as I said, the process is you fill out your application, we do a review of it. You might get a mentor appointed if you're really struggling with it, and then basically we assess and send it to Dublin. Once it's sent to Dublin, they give you a call, and within 5 working days, they will evaluate it one way or the other. In general, retailers are using it for, earlier on in COVID, it was people were stuck with stock and needed cash to buy the next season of stock. Now we're finding, again, people are coming back for the stock question. So it is used a lot for that stocking loan. Some people have invested in the bridging of website investment and COVID compliance stuff that they didn't have the cash flow for. But even separate to that, and I suppose one of the things is our success rate isn't how many MFI loans we do. Our success rate is how many companies we restructure for finance or get sorted out. So for every 10 companies that probably do the process, probably only 2 or 3 get loans because they don't need them when we work with their banks. A lot of people we work with, they've approached their bank badly and they just need guidance. So we encourage them to go back to their bank.
And so the point that you made about you can put people in touch and help fund, presumably, financial advice to help people access the correct supports as well.
Yeah, no, we've a team of advisors. They're all free of charge. So yeah, you have to fill out an application form. In the first instance, you probably meet a staff member briefly, and then you fill out an application form and you do the next part. So yeah, that's all there for people.
So whatever the issue, Kieran, I suppose the first step is to kind of make contact with your office, really, whether it's from sort of Brendan who's trying to get something together, or whether it's someone whose funding issues are stuck. It's a good first step is to contact you in your office.
Yeah, no, give us a chat, and as I said, we'll meet people on a clinic basis or a number of different formats. So there is a bit of lag because obviously there's massive demand at the moment. So as I said, if you'll see my private email in the front of it all. Just feel free to reach out to me directly, anyone who's on this, and we'll sort out an appointment.
That was a good point, worth people bearing in mind, the gap between the Taoiseach standing on the steps of government buildings and announcing something, and then you guys knowing about it. People need to bear that in mind and be patient, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. If anyone would like to say anything, if anyone would like to
if I could, John,
comments, Colin.
Just to say, just with regard to the town regeneration plan, I think it's important that we all get involved in and give our input on this plan. It's a very good picture of what Carla could look like. And it's important that we drive this through and we collaborate together to get this plan to fruition. Because we've had a couple of plans in the past and they have failed. It's important we drive this one through now and get everyone to participate in the planning procedure. And to be honest, just to mention the lean program that Kira mentioned as well. It's really, at this point, it's great for any business looking to pivot and look at what we're doing, analyze it from the front door all the way back to the back door. And we've started that process ourselves here in the hotel, and it's something that it's important. We should all look now while we've got this time to actually look to pivot. Look to see if we can do a business in a different way, in a better way. Thanks, John.
Okay, thanks, Colin. I think all that remains for me is to kind of wrap things up. And I'd like to do that by thanking all the speakers that we've had this morning. Thanks, Colin Duggan, who spoke at the start, and thanks, Colin, for your time, because I know it's a difficult time for you in your day job as well as it is for everybody in tourism and hospitality. Thank John Wall from Me to You gift cards, and just remember the potential of the Love Carlow gift card. A big thanks to Philip Mcdonald. Went down really well, Philip, your positivity, because positivity breeds positivity, I think. And also Evelyn Moynihan of Champion Green, and well done to the Kilkenny shop and the Kilkenny group for providing leadership in such difficult times and highlighting the message of the importance of supporting local. And remember that 20 euros, if everybody spent an additional 20 euros locally, that equates to 870 million. So I think that's the line of the day. And then also to Kieran Comfort from Carlow's local enterprise office. And just, I suppose, Kieran, thank you on behalf of the business community for all of the work that you and your staff have been doing, because I know that the volume has just increased tremendously, and you've dealt with that fantastically, all while battling the usual COVID challenges and working from home and so on. And also thank Brian O'Farrell, Chief Executive of Carlow Chamber, for his work on getting together this morning. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I have. Thank you for the opportunity. And best of luck to you all. And if you have any questions, I suppose contact Brian in the first instance in Carlow Chamber, who'll be delighted to point you in the right direction. So thanks to everybody. Have a good rest of the week. I suppose wash your hands, keep your distance, and keep on keeping on and believe, and we'll get through all this together. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thanks very much, John.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.